Hey guys, welcome to the next section of the course, Creative Financing Case Studies. This is where we get to the nitty gritty and how I actually found these deals, how I contracted them, how I raised the capital, how I financed the deal, how we pushed it past closing. And then without further ado, here we go. Where do all these studies take place? I'm a strong believer in investing in your backyard and starting here first. So these are all within about 30-minute, 40-minute drive of where I live. It's called the Chain of Lakes in northern Illinois. It's in right on the border of southern Wisconsin. Consists of 15 lakes. And if you can see this, this is where all the different properties I have on the actual lakes. Not all of them, but most of my Airbnbs are on the lake because that's the huge driving force and why people would actually be attracted to it. This is a huge area since the 1900s for fishing, boating, vacationing from people from Chicago, Milwaukee, northern Indiana. This is the place to go because it is a pretty short driving distance, under an hour. Okay, case study number one. This is the Johnsburg Estate. This was an MLS listing that failed. So and there's only two reasons why an MLS listing would fail. One, it's overpriced. Two, it needed more repairs than the seller actually wanted to do. So that's chances are why it would fail. That's one of my go-to on the texting campaigns, because either it's at equity, negative equity, or it's a paid off property, believe it or not. And this one was paid off, and I'll show you how to structure it next. This is exactly a text transcription that I put. I could possibly have a solution for your property, Terry, in Johnsburg. I believe it, paying it for, and the only way to be able to do this is the generosity of others. And this is kind of a long text. You can see sometimes I go short with it. This just happened to go in the rotation, and he bid on it. This is Terry and me. I always take cheesy pictures of the sellers, just because I like to remember, right? And it's really a win-win situation with the seller. I provide a solution for him. He had it on the market over 100 days. The property's paid off, but he was not budging on his price. So here is my spiel. I use this, write this down, use this daily. It's almost like a comedian using the same exact script over and over. You want to nail this, right? And be confident with it. So number one, I always give a cash offer. Of course, it commands a cash discount. And if I told you the price, chances are we couldn't be friends. I do variations of it. But the reason why I'm devaluing the cash offer is I want to push them to the terms offer. So almost like you're telling a friend, don't pick that, choose this differently. It actually builds a little bit of trust, believe it or not. And number two, terms. 90% of people say, what's terms? I go through a sales pitch and explain to the property owner the major upsides of doing terms. So again, devalue the cash offer, present terms. They're always going to say, what is terms? Terms is a payment plan. And in the next videos, I'll go through how to actually deliver this pitch and how to come up with your own story on what terms are to your seller that's applicable to your life. So this deal breakdown, purchase price is $779 with a down payment of 100 grand. It was a 5-year balloon term at a 3% interest rate after 5 years. So I have a few years still to refinance this. We got an awesome rate at 3%. Actually got in here, it is there right there, 90 days with no payments. That gave me enough time to get the construction done and up and running. The monthly payment in principal is $52.97. And on average in the summertime, for this is an Airbnb, you can see it's an awesome property. It's huge. It's 2.5 acres. We get up to $2,300 a night. So our mortgage is covered within the first couple guests. So the remodel, it was a lot of all cosmetic stuff, some pretty minor, nothing structural, electric, plumbing. Number one goal, get it safe and clean. We turned this volleyball court into a basketball court. You can see in the picture. We put a new roof on. We completely cosmetically updated the bathrooms and the first floor. We did this in 4 weeks. This was a lot. I think I had about 40 people on this project, just updating, cleaning. It was a old estate. He had vacant for a couple of years and wouldn't budge on his price. And finally, I presented the terms to him, and it worked out. So we originally underwrote it for about $1,300 a night in the peak season. In actuality, it's getting about $2,300 now. We underwrote it initially for 130 gross income. Now, as I'm doing this video, we're well over 200. We're probably in the 210, 220 range. We were underwrote it at 9% cash on cash return. If you don't know what that is, we'll go through underwriting course later. But essentially, you put $1 in the bank, and usually in the bank account, you'll get 1 to 2%. This is going to generate about 9. Actuality, as we're going on to the second year of this property, we're at 22% cash return. So this one's just crushing it. Second one, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. This is a cool Tudor style type house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The story with this guy's pain is he was a restaurateur who went through COVID and had to shut his business down. At the same time, he was in a sticky situation. He demoed this house. He was an investor. He's ready to, fix it up himself. And then his business basically was on pause. So he had to get rid of his property. It was draining him with the mortgage payments and expenses. Here's how the deal broke down. We acquired the house on a land contract. So Wisconsin doesn't do articles for agreement of deed. They only do a land contract. Purchase price is 147. And at this time, it was actually worth more than the house is. It was a 5-year term. Took it over for $1,100 a month, a little over $100 a month in mortgage payments. We gutted the house, put it back together for 42 grand, which is pretty low. As we sit and talk in this video, it's well over 250,000. So come to refinance it after 5 years shouldn't be a problem, considering the cash flow too. And I'm gonna get to that next. But you're probably asking, why would I buy it when it's, the house isn't even worth that? It's the cash flow, right? And the appreciation. We kind of got lucky with the inflation. So the property values went well over 250, but the cash flow as an Airbnb really makes awesome income. It's actually going to be an infinite return deal. This is just some of the before pictures. We gutted the whole place, put it back together. This is the after. We had one of our designers go in and completely rip the place and vintage it. Here's the numbers breakdown. This is a JV deal. So we had 3 other partners in the deal. They came up with the down payment as well as the remodel costs. Now you're asking, how do you do these deals with little money in your pocket or no money in your pocket? Partners. There'll be another video I talk about on the partnership value and how important it is to find partners or investors in your deals. That's where you really scale. So this is all the underwriting. This might be foreign to you. I'll go through that in another video, but this is basically how it breaks down. If you are a seasoned investor, you'll know what these factors mean. But basically, in a nutshell, when you go to refinance this property at a higher rate, we'll get infinite returns. So we'll get all of our money back, and it's gravy train from here on out. Okay, this is a case study, a Roxana Resort. This was an 1893 bed and breakfast I found. It's commercially zoned on the shores of Fox Lake, 2.5 acres, absolutely beautiful historic property. The homeowner was a single family that lived there, and their pain was that they had health issues in their family and they had to sell the property because it was getting way too expensive. It's a big property. It's over 6,000 square feet. The heating bills alone were killing them. They had it listed with a realtor, but it was way too high. And again, it failed listing. So I look for failed listings, listings that are 100 days or older. I went to them, and the reason why they couldn't sell it, it's commercially zoned, and they were marketing it as a single family home. That's a big no-no because it's harder to get a mortgage when it's commercially zoned, a residential mortgage. So they didn't really receive any realistic offers, a bunch of lowball offers. We came in under asking, but we had a good reason. There was quite a bit of remodeling to get done, and they needed to get rid of this house quick. Here's how the deal broke down. They were asking 950. We paid them 800 cash. Again, you ask how in the world we do this? We track capital with the different properties we do. And look at this thing. It really sold itself. It's doing really, really good in the first year that we've had this property. And we've hired on an actual event coordinator to do more weddings. We only did about a dozen weddings last year. We want to do triple that. So I want to get a professional company that comes and actually knows how to get weddings actually booked here. Again, it's an 1893 charming Victorian house. 8 bedroom, 5 bath, almost 6,000 square feet on over 2 acres, zone commercial. So it worked out perfect as an Airbnb since it's already basically zoned as a motel. Here's how the rate of return goes, cash on cash return. This is that we are, again, trying to build value through not equity with this situation, but in cash flow. So when we go to get a commercial loan, we'll show that we're making this type of money and it's an actual business. And that's how it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a higher dollar value, but it definitely helps our case when we go to look for a commercial loan that it's producing an income, just like if you were to go to get a small business loan. This is another case study of the Lakeview place. This was a dilapidated 8-unit hotel with a bar on the first floor. So this was a tired landlord. This actually was door knocking. So is in I have a list of acquisition hit list, I call it. And this was on my hit list as a commercially zoned property, hotel and mixed use buildings I like a lot because you could build a lot of value add if you buy it right, dump a bunch of money in for the remodel, and you get the appreciation when you go to refinance. On this property, I don't have to refinance because it's a articles for agreement of deed, which is a seller terms deal with 30-year amortization and no balloon. So there's no reason to refinance because we got a really good rate on this. I think it was like 4%. And right now, as I talk, rates are going to probably go as high as 7%. So I found this off market, like I said. Originally, it was from another investor who brought it to my attention as well, but he wanted 50% equity for basically doing nothing but finding the deal, and that's a huge no-no. If anything, it'll piss people off, quite frankly, because you're being greedy about it. Usually, when you find a deal and you get your acquisition fee, it'll be anywhere from 2 to 6%, let's say. Even 10% is super high if it's a very valuable deal, but 50% is unheard of. And he basically lost the deal. So he defaulted with the seller here, Richard, and he allowed me to contract him, and we closed within 30 days. So here's how the deal broke down. It was going to be a loser deal. So in order for me to sell this to my potential partners or investors, I had to have the vision, right? The only way you have a vision is by previous deals you've done in the past. I could show them my case studies are like I'm doing right here right now with you and showing them, listen, this is what my vision is. Here's how the underwriting pans out. And can we actually do this? So within 1 to 3 years, there was a loser deal, basically. We weren't going to be making any money. So this was definitely a longer term deal for people that could sink some money into it and not expect any returns for the first couple of years. And that's a hard sell. It's called a heavy lift. So not only we have to remodel this entire complex, but we're not going to be making any money for the first couple of years. So I'll show you the next slide how I did that. There's also a bar here where I'm inheriting this tenant that's been there for another 2 more years we have on his lease. He's only paying $1,300 a month, which is unheard of. It should be 3 times that. He knows this. He knows when his lease is up. He either has to he has to re-sign with me under a higher number, or I've already has tenants lined up waiting for his spot. So here, like I said, we originally were going to wait 2 to 3 years to do this remodel, but these tenants were absolutely horrible that lived there. There was 16 tenants that weren't paying their rent in time. It was low income housing. They were only paying between $300 to $500 a month to live here. And this is a hotel. This wasn't even like an apartment, so there wasn't stoves in here. I have no idea how people were living here, but they were. He was a tired landlord and was tired of running it as a hotel and bar. We just put people in for longer term, and there wasn't even leases on them. So majority of them left on their own. The other half I had to give cash or keys, and the other half we had to basically push out. In other words, so you can see the before and after. We sunk roughly about 100,000 into the remodel, and not just some paint. All electrical had to be overhauled. All new furnaces, all new air conditioners were put in every single unit. Quite a bit of extensive work, believe it or not. So instead of us losing $3,500 a year in the 1 to 3 years that we originally projected, I was just tired of dealing with the tenants, and I convinced all of our partners to invest a little more money into it. And now we're at a good occupancy right through the summertime. We made really good money in the first summer at 15,000 in the summertime in the peak season. Now the wintertime, we're still tweaking pricing. We're still got some learning to do with this property, but it's definitely a lot better than having to deal with those tenants and losing money. So we will probably break a small profit this year with this property. Year 2 and year 3, we'll definitely see some really great returns. So here's how the original plan panned out with the cash flow. You can see it's in the negative. Come year 3 is when we actually be profitable. But since we accelerated that, spent a little more money in it, we're actually a small profit this year. So case study number 5. This is a small little 2-bedroom, 1-bed house in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, right by Lake Como. If you're familiar with Lake Como, but it's a cool little lake. Definitely a family area for vacationing. Very a lot of golf carts. People drive around golf carts. There's a lot of little bars and restaurants that all around the lake. Really cool. This is a good example of what a subject to mortgage deal is. This seller had a VA loan at 2.5%. He had no equity, so he had a VA loan at 180,000. The house is only worth 200,000. There's only a small spread there. He wanted to sell this house, though. His pain was he had a divorce and just wanted to get rid of the old memories and move on. Problem is, since he's at a very low equity position, chances are he'd have to come out of pocket to pay his tax credit to the next seller, his real estate, realtor costs, closing costs, all these other fees involved in it. He didn't want to do that. So I gave him an opportunity to, hey, listen, I'll give you a couple dollars for your equity. You deed the property to me, put it into a trust, and then you could basically go on your way and not have to come out of pocket. You'll actually get a couple dollars out of the deal. So this is Fred. Like I said, Fred's pain is he just had bad memories. He got a divorce at 70 years old and he actually remarried. Good for Fred. It's a pretty cool story, actually. Um, he had no equity in the deal. So we found no equity or low equity deals, what we searched with a DTS texting campaign. So based on the first couple videos you guys watched, what the 9 points of pain are, negative equity is definitely a pain, but it works great with subject to mortgage deals. He recently refied, like I said. He sold in the open market. You have to come out of pocket. I paid him the equity for the actual property. Make that money back within the first 6 months of this property in an Airbnb. Here's how the numbers broke down. This is what it looked like after a fresh paint job. And interior we did. I will post a link and what all the Airbnbs, what they look like, so you can see the after pictures. But here's the takeaways I learned on this one. No equity and low equity. A lot of investors are scared from those types of properties. They don't know what to do with them because they're used to selling high and buying low. Well, if you hold it and you know how to structure the properties properly, they're great cash cows. It is a perfect storm with the seller on a sub two. Low equity means low rents, but if it have a low mortgage, that spread is great. He only had a 2.5% rate, and I think his mortgage payment was like $800 a month. Well, we're getting that on 2 nights as an Airbnb, so the rest is a gravy train. All we do is quick claim the deed to a trust, and then we present it to the offer. The seller could keep a simple sales pitch, and I don't complicate it. I basically told him, I'll write you a check, you deed the property to me, and you can walk away. It's that simple and not have to come out of pocket. This is case study number 6, the Graham property, another great example of a subject to mortgage deal. So this pain, again, the seller had negative equity. Property is valued at only 160,000, but his balance is 179. He's way upside down. So imagine him coming out of pocket. They have to sell it as well. This one we found doing texting, MLS aged and failed listings. It was on the market for 159 days. When I presented them what we could do with this, they didn't believe it. So the wife actually contacted the her father, who is a real estate attorney in Colorado, I believe, and she gave the green light to it, said you absolutely can do this. It's legal, and here's what you have to do. And he basically christened the deal. So the property needed a thing except move out cleaning. This is the kitchen, what it looked like when we originally picked it up. It needed nothing but a cleaning. So we took over the seller's mortgage payments. I make the mortgage payments directly to the bank through the seller's porthole. I think it's been over 2 years now. I picked this property up. The deed was quick claim to a trust that we set up with Chicago Title. I completely own this property. I could buy it, sell it, lease it, rent it. That mortgage just stays in the seller's name. They don't own this property anymore. It's a seller win-win. Again, all my deals are seller win-wins because we are essentially married to them, right? If anything happened with this, I would still want that good relationship to be able to go back and talk to them to see if we could work things out amicably. So here's how the numbers broke down. It literally, I paid $826 out of pocket for the closing costs. The mortgage payment is a little over 1,100. The rental rate is 1,885. I have to update this slide because I raised the rental rate up because of the all the rental rates are so high with this inflation and this crazy economy. I think I'm getting closer to $2,000 a month now. I got to relook at my numbers, so I'm closing $800 to $900 a month in positive cash flow. I don't think I've spent one dime in this house since I closed on it. We've had great tenants in there for the past couple of years. Couldn't be happier with this. Can things go wrong? Absolutely. So I just keep that money sit in the bank. We need a new roof. Come year 5, we're gonna have that money in there. But if this is your first deal, this could be a game changer for you. You can either help pay your mortgage, right, with very little money in pocket, or your car payment. So here's the takeaways. Direct to seller campaigns via text takes consistency and patience. It's not a get rich quick scheme. You need money to spend on your texting programs and skip tracing and be consistent. I don't care if it's 20 minutes a day or 2 hours a day. Do it daily, 5 days a week, but have a set time to text, respond to those texts, and call those sellers. Don't lax on it. Time kills deals. I cannot stress that even more. Look for the pain and urgency of the seller. Do not look for specific asset classes. So when we do a search on PropStream, like I showed you in the last video, we're doing everything: single family homes, commercial buildings, multifamily, marinas, campsites, you name it. We're looking for that pain and urgency through all classes. Okay. All deals are unique, and there's basically 40 ways that I've pinned down, according to my experiences, and ways to structure deals. There's going to be more as I keep doing in my career, probably over 100 ways to structure it. You definitely have to embrace this. You can embrace rejection a lot because people are going to be hanging up on you, calling you names. All it takes is one, guys, one deal to change everything, and that momentum is strong. It'll keep snowballing. Number 5, always shoot for creative financing first, seller financing or some sort of creative financing. The key is to show the seller how much money they can make in the interest payments, especially if it's a paid off house. They become the bank. You're going to show them an amortization calculator. This is how much money you're going to make in the interest. Why wouldn't you do this deal? It's like you're selling the property for 20, 30% more than if you're selling the open market with nothing out of your pocket, no fees. That concludes these slides, guys. I hope you got some good stuff out of it. If you got any questions with it, which I'm sure you do, you definitely reach out to me. Let's set up your next call.